I have the phone put on the table on the dining room from here, so it wouldn't bother. Thank you.
Hey, Rebecca, how you doing?
I'm fine, thank you. How are you?
Good.
Good.
Elon, time to wake up.
Yes, sir.
Having a nice
Charles,
day out there, huh?
Charles, did you get my pictures?
I did.
Okay, great. Thank you.
I did get them. Looks like you and Elon are both in kind of nice places, you know, like big windows and, you know, all the light on this nice rainy day. Is that
you want something else?
yeah, is that oh, okay. That's like a photo, right? Behind you, Elon?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. All right. So that's you've just kind of dropped that in as a background. It would be nice to be there today though, wouldn't it?
I think so.
Yeah. You know, nice view and wow. Okay.
Elon, I wanted to tell you how much I've enjoyed your paintings.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate it.
I especially like the one of the lady with the hat that had the checkerboard black and white on it. That was very well done.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I still think about changing it a little bit, but
What would you do to it differently?
no, I think just what you remarked on the background and stuff like that.
Oh, okay.
I want to do some work on her face and neck because everything else is mechanical.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
yeah, I would be careful with that, you know, because again, I think if you try to make the face look too much like a realistic portrait of somebody, then it loses that sort of graphic feel to it, which is really nice, you know. So you know, you got to kind of find that borderline, you know, and not go over it. Because
it's mainly I want to work on her face.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, like I said, yeah, just be cautious doing that. It would be easy to overdo, you know, and overwork.
Yeah.
So, at any rate, okay. Looks like we're getting a few folks on. We got Veronica here and Susan and Armando's here. Wow.
Yep.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
How we doing?
Good.
Okay. Yeah.
And you? You doing okay?
I'm getting rained on.
Well, yeah.
You know, other than that, I'm, you know, I mean, not that I mind getting rained on. And I'm not actually out in the rain. I'm just, you know, I'm sitting
3 or 4 drops.
Yeah. Looking at the, looking out the window and watching it rain. So anyway. So we're getting a little bit of Ida coming through.
Yeah.
It's calm, you know. It's not real windy right now. This morning it was pretty breezy there, but it was nice. It was nice. Anyway, well, we got a whole bunch of work to look at, so we're just waiting on folks to show up here. Still have a few minutes. Well, no, we don't. Okay, it's 2 o'clock now. Okay, well, I guess we'll get rocking and rolling. Right. Oh, okay. All right. So, all right. Let's get going here. Okay. We got John showed up. Susan's here. Rebecca's here.
Hey, John. Hey, Rebecca.
How you doing? All right. Somebody say something. I'm testing my speaker.
We're here. I'm here. I'm here. I'm late, but I'm here.
I wanted to tell Veronica how much I really was impressed with her landscape. The colors in it are my favorites with all the blues and greens.
Thank you.
I saw the beginning and then I saw it a month later. Remarkable. Really well done.
Thank you.
Yeah. I seem to have my speakers working now again. So I'm not getting the vibration out of my computer that I get when it's just on the speakers from the computer. So, okay. So sound is good. Let's get rocking and rolling. Okay. Like I said, we've got quite a bit of work that folks sent in. And so we're going to look at that today and talk about a thing. We may have a new person join us. I sent her a link. Her name is Lorraine Fontana. Anyway, she contacted me actually on Facebook, but I think she said that she goes to the Mills Center. Anyway, but she hasn't done a lot of art in many years. But she said a very nice drawing, and you know, she's kind of looking at joining us. You know, so hey, that'll be a good thing.
Yes, the more the merrier.
That's right.
Did y'all miss me yesterday?
Hello, Miss Bernice.
Did
No,
y'all
where
miss
you
me?
going? Where you
Yes,
going?
we did.
Did we
Yeah,
meet?
well, at about 25 after I got thrown off and couldn't get back on.
Yeah, I was about to say, you know, I saw you yesterday, so okay.
Yeah.
So
I asked a question about the bird with the leaves, and after that, I couldn't get back on anymore.
really, huh? Okay. Yeah, I didn't know that you had gone away. I'm
Oh.
sorry.
I didn't miss
Well, yeah. So I guess in that case, you know, no, we didn't miss you. I didn't because I didn't know you were gone. But if I were,
Well, I'm sure you had better things to do. You were probably showing some great video.
Well, yeah, we did. We looked at a short video yesterday. Mainly, we looked at, you know, two different artists' work. You know, and
Right.
if you were around for the birds, then you were around for most of it. So.
No, it was about 25 after 11, I think.
25 after 11? Wow. Okay. And so you couldn't get back on after that?
No.
And did it tell you why you couldn't get back on? Yeah, was it just problems with your computer or was it?
Well, what it would do, I would see you for a moment, you know, in the little screen, and then I would click on it, and then it would go off again. Then I would try again. I would see you for a moment, and you click it, and it would go off again. So I said, well.
So when you say you would click on it, what do you?
You know, because on my screen it says recording in progress, and I have to click something to say okay, and to get on.
Right.
Right. So well, and when I clicked okay, it would just throw me off again.
Huh. Okay. Well, I guess the thing is, don't go okay. Just stay here. Don't do anything extra.
Don't take it personally.
I'm over here crying my eyes out.
Well, I'm sorry you couldn't get back on. You know.
It's okay. I'll see you in two weeks, I think, right?
In 2 weeks?
Aren't your things online in 2 weeks?
My thing
Like
online.
your classes online?
The class online in a couple of weeks?
What class is that? I mean,
This one. Is it recorded on?
Oh, you mean on YouTube?
On YouTube?
Yeah, YouTube. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. You can always go back and watch them on YouTube, but
yeah. So I'll catch you then.
Okay, well, it's far more, you know, as you actually hear.
Wait a moment.
Yeah.
So those crazy things that I said before, they aren't on YouTube.
Yes.
Yes. Everything you say, yes.
It's all out there, Armando. You know, all the ladies, all the ladies in your complex can come check out. You know, what we're saying about it. Yep, that is true,
Mm.
man. You know, you're outed. There you go.
There you go.
Okay. Anyway, enough of that. Let's start looking at some work here. And since Bernice is here, and you know we're at the top of the list, we'll start with Bernice. Now Bernice.
Armando, top of the list.
Well, he didn't send anything in this week.
Yes, I did.
No. You did for last week. We talked about it. You
I
brought-
sent some of the drawing. I sent it yesterday.
You did?
You didn't get it, so I have to do it again.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I didn't get anything from you yesterday.
Okay.
No. I'm
That's
sorry.
because he sent it to one of those ladies. That's what happened. He thought it was
You
you.
did. Yeah. Yeah, that and he's trying to recruit one of them to come hang out on his couch now.
Right?
You know. So yeah.
Just saying.
Yeah. Huh. Okay. Anyway, well, maybe I have to go back and look around and see if I can find Armando's email. Okay. Anyway, let's get going here, and I'll start with Bernice since you know she's at the top of the list that I have. Okay. So this was her drawing from Friday, and it's her imaginative drawing. And so, again, you know, it's a little girl. She's in the garden. Now, is the little girl supposed to be you?
Oh no. It's a friend of mine's daughter.
Oh, okay.
He was just saying that's his favorite memory of his little girl. You know, when she handed him that coffee, you know. No. It actually was an empty teacup. You know how children do
Yeah,
that.
they're pretending. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So she's handing him a teacup.
Yeah. Even
And
though it
so-
doesn't look like it, but
Well, you kind of decapitated it.
well, I meant to, because I want the focus to be the little girl, and he just, you know.
Yeah, but even if you did put his head in there, it would be kind of turned away from us, you know, and toward her.
Oh, that's true. That's true. Yeah.
So we might get his ear, you know.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I don't know that we could identify from his ear though, but you know, maybe we can. So, now are you going to do anything else with this? Or are you going to go any
I
further?
think so, because I kind of like it once I start. I think I will.
Okay. I mean, it's a great idea, and you could have really a lot of fun, you know, with it. And again, you know, it's like this is just an idea. See, it's just to kind of get things flowing, right?
Okay.
And to begin to get something down on paper that you can then take and develop, right?
Mhm.
So you could, you know, I mean, you could do so many things with this, right? It could be a painting. It could just be a drawing. You know, and again, it could be any media. It could be oil paint, acrylic, watercolor, you know.
Mhm.
And you could do it in like a very whimsical style, you know, kind of doesn't have to be like photorealistic or anything like that. It could just be very decorative in design and simplified, kind of almost like it was made for children, you know, like in a children's book.
Oh, okay.
Or
Mm.
it could be, you know, or it could be, you know, more realistic. You know, I mean, you can go, like I said, you can go in so many different directions with it. And the thing is, you know, it's like with the subject matter,
Mhm.
you know, the color, you know, you could really play with the color and make
Oh,
it,
I was trying to put the light on the right side, coming toward the left. Okay.
yeah, so that she would mainly kind of be like in shadow there, right? Because we'd be seeing the shadow side of it.
I thought, well, maybe front right, because I want the one side of her face. You see her face. I want that side to be in
Yeah.
shadow, and the other side, yeah.
Okay, so you're going to put the shadow on the left side of her face, and this side to the light. Okay. Right.
Okay, let me know you don't get it.
Let me ask you something else though. Is the little girl about the right proportion, or is she too short, too fat, too
Were you short or fat?
Well, no, I was trying to show it's a normal 3-year-old.
Mhm.
I wonder if is the neck too long. I'm just wondering what about proportions for a child. That's all.
Yeah. Well, she
Head
might.
too big, arm
Yeah.
too big.
Well, now the thing with the 3-year-old,
Mm-hmm.
if she's 3 years old, she's going to have a big head. I mean,
It's going to be bigger than what I have.
well, no, I mean it's probably about right for a 3-year-old. 3 years.
Well,
Look
don't
at it this
worry
way.
about
Okay,
age.
in an adult, normally it's like somewhere between like 7.5 heads high.
Mm.
And in a child about 3 years old, you're going to have about 4 heads total, because they have much smaller bodies. And, so the head is going to be a quarter of the size,
Okay.
of the child. As they get into like 6 and 7, then it kind of gets to about 5, and so it's like every stage of growth, by the time that they're an adolescent, say 12 or 13, then it's, more like 6, 6.5. And by the time they're fully adult, it's 7.5 to maybe 8. So,
Okay.
So you can kind of proportion it that way. And, in just looking at her, I'd say she's probably about 4 heads. So let's see. 1,
Okay.
2,
Okay.
3. Yeah, she's about 4 heads high. So, that's about right for, a 3-year-old.
Okay. Okay.
They're having,
Yeah.
they're having.
Now you could make the head a little bit rounder, a little bit fuller, a little bit rounder.
Oh yeah. For the
maybe-
chubby face part.
Yeah, and maybe the neck's not quite so long, so you could take up some of that space in the final. Okay. But
Okay.
the best thing to do would be, look at some reference of children around that age.
Okay.
And then you kind of get a sense of the proportion, because, with kids that age, they're kind of going through that stage where their arms and their legs are, they're getting stronger, but they're not really lengthening out at that point,
I love those baby legs.
Yeah. And then it's like by the time that they turn like to about a 4 or 5 years old, they really do change quite a bit.
Yeah.
In that time period, and they begin to look like little lanky kids. By 3 years old, they're just losing that kind of chubby feel to them. And they're not quite so soft. When they're like 4 and 5. And then of course, by the time they're 8 or 9, they're just beanfuls, most of them. And,
Hello.
and they're bottomless pits. They start, well, boys at least. Boys basically start eating anything and everything that they can get their hands on, and they don't stop until they're like 19. And and even though they eat everything in the house, you can't get any weight on them for the most part. So, that's kind of the normal cycle of kids, it seems. So, just kind of think about the age that she is,
Okay.
and, the story that you've got going on, with her, with the tea party and stuff seems appropriate, for that maybe 3 to 4 year old little girl kind of stage. And so, so like I said, just, find some pictures of children around that age, so you kind of get a sense of the scale and proportion, that you're working with. Okay. And right now what you got isn't bad, and she definitely feels like a little girl. She doesn't look like an adult. or anything.
Okay.
And then with is it the grandfather?
No, the father.
The father. Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah. I mean, he appears to be adult size. You know, and like I said, it would be nice, to get more of his figure into the final drawing. And again, you don't have to worry about the features on the face and stuff because he's turned away from us.
Okay.
I think Elan went to sleep.
Yeah,
I saw that too.
yeah, he's in that mode. That's okay. All right. We'll wake him up in the appropriate time. Bob isn't here, is he? I think Bob and
I am watching you, but I nap a little.
Yeah, I know. You got one eye on us. Yeah, I was noticing that. Okay, but Bob isn't here today, right? Because
His print is so good.
Yeah, that look like Franklin.
Yeah, I love that print.
Yeah,
He
it's
prints so
getting
well.
yeah, it's getting close, to looking Franklin-esque. I mean, it's he's taken what he had originally done and he's recomposed it into like a composite. And it's a lot more interesting composition right now than it had been. And I was only going to mention like one negative thing about this, and that is where he has the tower and where the point of the tower ends is right here at the edge of the paper. And I wouldn't encourage him to do that. I would bring the paper behind it, like bring the paper down here,
Right.
and then have this come in front of it, break it in front. And the reason being that where these two things come together like that, that's what we call a tangent, right? And it's distracting. It's like, your eye wants to go to it because it's where these two things intersect. Plus the fact that it's kind of close to the center of the composition too. So I would just, I would make more of the paper, the paper would be a little longer, and kind of run behind, all of this stuff here, including the kite string. And that way you tie them together, but it's like they're not meeting at the edge and they're not intersecting, connecting that way. And that way you push the paper to the back and bring the building to the front. And so it really kind of plays with, the layers of information there. So if he were here, that's what I would basically recommend to him. And then Eloise, I don't think Eloise is here. I think they're off, at Ernest Varner's class this afternoon. So, but this was her original drawing. And then she went into a painting. And so, she made a nice translation of that. She was talking the other day about, the shadows and cast shadows on the figure. And, the thing I would, tell her in looking at this, and I think the reason she was asking was right now, you kind of miss the shadow. And so the shadow could be a little bit darker and a little bit sharper down here by her feet, and then fade away to what it is out here. But I would definitely make the edges of it just a little bit stronger and maybe a little bit darker in value, closer to her, and then let the gradation kind of do what it's doing, which is, fade away as it moves away from it. But, she's got a really good, strong start on it. So it'll be interesting to see what she does, in the end. I mean, overall, the whole composition was pretty well. The other thing I would say is that her horizon line is really sharp, and I would just kind of, soften the edge of it a little bit so that it's not such a hard line, because it's probably one of the sharpest edges in the whole painting other than right here under the trees. So, it's mainly, if you're gonna have a sharp edge and you're gonna have a lot of change in value or contrast, you have to understand, that's gonna draw your eye to that area. And the question is, where do we really want to look? And I'm guessing that where we really want to look is not back here at the horizon line or these trees. Where we really want to look is right here, at the figure. And so, some stronger values, sharper edges, in this area would, keep our eye and our focus, on the figure. So, and then we have,
she is kind of muted, the bathing suit and the colors.
yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, she, like I said, and we'll talk about this on Thursday. I think they'll be here on Thursdays, though not on Tuesdays. Then we have Mr. Gigliotti here.
Yes, sir. I'm here.
Yeah, let's start with his drawing. Come on. Okay. So this is what he did on Friday, in the class. And so, he's got these two people in there, like at a bus stop, you said, right?
A bus stop, yep. In the winter.
All right. So is this snow back here, or what?
That's, yeah, snow. Yeah, it's like after, if you've ever lived up north, after a big snowfall, the plows go through and they pile up all the snow along the curb. So the snow is piled up to your shoulders sometimes. So piles of snow.
Yeah. So are these guys sitting on the snowbank? Or are they sitting on a bench, or what?
They're standing at the most.
Okay. Yeah, because it doesn't read like, in particular, this guy doesn't read like he's standing.
No, I know. Yeah, I noticed that. It looks like he's sitting on it.
that knee being bent tells me that he's sitting.
Right.
And
right.
so, yeah, you kind of got to straighten that leg out a little bit, and then he'll feel like he's standing. Okay.
Yeah.
So let's look in your color piece. Maybe you corrected that, and it looks like you did. Okay. Okay. Yeah. And so, yeah, this feels much more like he's standing now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. And I like your handling of the figures. The coats and the things like that. They're sort of like simplified, abstract shapes, but they read really nicely. And the way that you've broken up the value, the darker and the mid-tone and the light, works really pretty well. And then, your shapes for everything back behind them, again, you've kept pretty simple. So really, the most complicated thing is really the fire hydrant and these guys, pull it forward, and then everything else kind of, moves backward. Now, this, what is this exactly?
It's a pole. It's a pole with a bus stop sign on it.
Okay. Now.
And then it's early morning, so the light is coming from one side, and that's the shadow.
Yeah, the cast shadow here, or the reflection.
And right.
So my question though is, all right, this has got a bus stop sign on it. How thick is that pole? I mean, this kind of looks like a telephone pole. Are they on telephone poles, or are they just like?
No, they're on those usually those metal poles.
Yeah. So I would think. Yeah, I would think it'd be much thinner.
Yeah, I want to make sure it didn't blow over in the storm.
I guess so. Yeah, it's a very sturdy pole. It's not going.
Yes.
Okay. It could hold up a house.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Not just a bus stop sign. It could really hold up a whole house. I guess it's, for those really windy Chicago days, people can hang on to it.
Yes. Right.
Not worry about, being blown away. I've been in Chicago on those windy days.
Oh, yeah.
Sometimes you have to grab onto something. It gets very windy there. It does.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to convey, that it's early morning and it's cold and there's snow, and
Yeah.
The other thing I was wondering about if the buildings across on the backside, if they're too warm.
Well, and I was going to ask you about that, because if you're trying to convey that it's a very cold kind of winter day, and
Right.
you know, I mean, all of your colors in the foreground, you know, are generally pretty cool. Now you do have some
Right.
pinks and some greens and things in there which are a little bit warmer. But then when I compare the foreground to the background, you know, the background looks like kind of a spring day almost. You know, because of, they're kind of pastel and they are generally warmer.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
wanted to be just vague, not prominent, you know.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
but I looked at it, I thought possibly that the colors were too warm to be in the background.
Yeah. You know, I could, you know, the suggestion that I would make to you is that you make a gray, and that you just put a gray wash, you know, over the colors that you have here, and start,
Okay.
yeah, start muting them back. And as you mute them back, they'll cool off the temperature as well. And as you do that, then it will become kind of a, you know, a more bleak, wintry day feel to it, rather than, you know, quite so warm. The same with this blue back here. You know, this blue in the distance. It's
Yeah.
yeah, it's a little too bright, a little too cheery, a little too clear. You know, to get the kind of effect I think that you're looking for. So again, you know,
Right.
you can see if your colors were kind of more like this in the buildings, then it would
Okay.
be more wintry.
I didn't want it to look too flat. That's why I did.
Yeah, well, the flat part really I think has more to do with the contrast in the value. And
Okay.
yeah, and the thing is, you've got a good deal of contrast in the figures
Right.
in the foreground. So as long as you don't get too much contrast in the buildings, you know, you can still have windows and things, and they could be a little bit darker than they are now. But if you gray everything down back there, it'll push it back. You know, it will actually give you more distance. Okay.
Okay. Very good. Thank you.
All right. And then let's not forget your barn.
I think we talked about that.
Did we? Yeah, I guess we did. Yeah. Okay. Well, we're gonna look at it again. You know.
Okay.
It's a nice. It's a nice
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah, it's
You know?
nice.
And actually, you know, it kind of answers the question that we were just talking about. See how you muted all the colors here in the background, and you know,
Right.
and
Right.
and they do. They move back. You know, everything up here really comes forward because of, one, the intensity of the color, and number two is the value contrast. See? And so again, you know, if you'll kind of take the same approach with your buildings that you did with those trees and things back there and gray them back,
Mm-hmm.
you know, they will. They'll move back. They'll sit back there in the background for you. Okay?
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
And
I really like the colors in that one. They're really pretty.
Yeah.
oh yeah. 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 I
They look
mean,
really nice.
yeah, this is a very nice piece, you know.
The
You know,
wood looks like wood.
Yeah, the only thing, you know, the only thing we had to say about this particular painting that, you know, I thought maybe could have been done a little differently or a little bit better were these trees, you know. And it's not the tree trunks and stuff, it's the little branches, right? And see, John went in there and he took a small brush and kind of painted like lots of little, you know, limbs, right? And
Yes.
you know, you could take like a big flat brush and put a little bit of paint in it, you know, and kind of dry it out so it's a dry brush, and then just kind of drag across these areas, even before you put in like the thicker trunks, and just kind of, you know, with kind of a grayish or some kind of neutral color, and you would get a similar effect to like all those little tree branches, you know, all those little limbs, you know, the tiny little limbs. that you
Mhm.
want to have to paint, and then you just paint in the thicker trunks, you know. And if you look at like a lot of winter landscapes that plein air painters do, you know, that's a pretty common trick, you know, to begin to get that illusion of, okay, yeah, these are a bunch of tree branches without any real leaves on them. And, you know, it's again, you can take either a big round brush, a big flat. I usually use a flat brush, and
Uh-huh.
I'll load it with paint, and then I'll take a rag and I'll just kind of dry it out a little bit, you know, a lot of the excess paint, and then just very lightly, you know, kind of drag in the direction, you know, to kind of make this gray area and kind of give a general shape to the tree. And then I'll paint in my trunks over it, right? And then I don't, have to paint all those little tiny tree branches and stuff.
Yeah, well, I was trying to give the impression that, again, that they're in the foreground and that's more detail.
Yeah, and you can still get that, because I'll have to do I'll do a demo on that.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, so that you guys can kind of see what I mean. You know, because you know, there's easier ways to address trees without a lot of leaves on them. Okay. And so I'll work up a little demo on that. You know, you know, I'll do one in like a water media, and I'll do one like in oil. You know, so you can see the difference.
Yeah.
Okay.
Very good.
Yeah, because it really can save you a lot of time, and it kind of, again, you know, it keeps the focus where you really want it, you know, which is really kind of here around the barn and stuff like that, and it's not, you know, distracting. So, all right. So, Elon, Earth calling Elon.
Is he still here?
I don't know.
Is
You know.
sleep?
Well, that's
Yeah, he's still here.
Yeah. I mean, I see him in the list, you know. I don't see him. He's turned off his video or something, you know. I guess so he could finish his nap. Okay. All right. Well, yeah, I wanted to talk to him about this piece and see, you know, last time he had it, we kind of talked about, you know, maybe not changing this, but doing maybe another piece very similar to it, and playing with like the size relationships of these red spherical shapes and things like that. And I wanted to see if he had made, you know, any progress in that direction. Okay. But since he seems to be on nap time, or, you know, not talking to us right now, we'll come back to him, you know, when he shows up.
Here I am alive.
Oh, you're awake. Okay. All right. So the question, you know, on the table right now is, have you done anything else? You know, have you?
No, not yet. Not yet. I need to do it a little bit.
Okay. Yeah. Not on this. Okay. We're talking another.
No. I'll redo it.
Okay. All right. Yeah. And play with the color. Play with the size relationships of these, you know, kind of red spheres. You know, make them a little different, you know, bigger and smaller, you know. And again, you know, I think the more you do that, you know, the more interesting and kind of fun it's going to become. All right.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So is everybody ready?
Yep.
Drum roll. All right. We're going to have the Jackie Lattimore out.
Okay.
Jackie.
I don't know if we can take that.
Yeah. Jackie sent in a whole bunch of stuff we need to go through. Okay. And, you know, so let's just jump into it. So this is Jackie's Ballerina.
Yeah.
Okay. Where are you at, Jackie?
I'm here.
Jacqueline.
Yeah, well, yeah. Usually when people are talking or whatever, you guys kind of show up. I'm not seeing you in the mix here. Let's go up. There she is. Okay. All right. And Elon's back too. All right. Yay. All right. So this is your ballerina. And and it's, you know, it's a nice ballerina. And I think you said that you moved the leg back, and we can kind of see where you.
Yeah, I moved it back, but somehow it's still not straight, is it?
It's not directly under her head, but it's much better than it was.
I had it all the way up here. I raised it 3 times.
Yeah, okay. Okay. Now, the one thing I would kind of encourage you to do, it looks like this was laying down on a table, and find a place like on your easel or on a wall, and, you know, get a couple little like push pins or something, and put it flat on the wall when you take the photo. And then when you take the photo, try to square it up as best you can in the camera frame. Because what we're looking at right now in the drawing is that it's laying down is very distorted.
Okay, yeah, I was in the bed.
Well, okay. That was probably a little more information than we needed, but okay.
I can see the comfort of the bed, yes.
Yeah, but yeah, rather than trying to shoot down on it, you know, actually put it like on, you know, vertical on a wall.
I'll put it on my easel. Okay, yeah, good idea.
Yeah, and try to, like I said, you know, try to line it up in the phone. You know, I'm assuming you're shooting these on your phone, so, you know, just try to line it up in the viewfinder so that it looks, you know, kind of square and it's not like really distorted. Okay.
All right, gotcha.
Because it's like, you know, you take the time to do the drawing and everything else. It really doesn't take a lot of time to, you know, like set it up and take a good photograph of it that's representational of what you did. See, here, it looked like the legs are much bigger than the body because of the angle that you shot it at. See,
it does.
Yeah, it's funny how that works out.
Look how little the arms are.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, she's like way up above us. You know, she's in midair. She's like 20 feet above us, you know, floating across her head here. Anyway, it's okay, but enough joking aside about stuff like that. But, you know, really, it's a lovely drawing. You know, you've got a lot of action in it. And I'll bet you if you had photographed it and it were square, that the proportions and things would probably be about right.
Okay.
Would be my guess.
I'll work on that.
Yeah. Okay. And then you sent me, what's this guy's? Yeah, Byron Stevens.
Yeah.
You know, okay, and I understand, you know, this is your reference, okay? Now, let me ask you something.
Yeah.
Because Friday, the whole idea behind Friday, we were using our imagination. Okay. That was the assignment. Okay. To try to come up with something out of your own mind. Okay. And what you basically sent, you know, or what you basically did on Friday was you basically try to draw this.
Right.
Okay.
Oh, but you want me to draw? Okay, yeah, from my own mind. Okay.
Well, you see, here's the thing. The assignment was to pick, you know, maybe a person, a place, and a time, right? And
could I draw me on a horse?
Yeah, I mean, you could draw anything.
On a phone. Okay.
Yeah, you could draw anyone, anywhere. Okay, but again, you know, the thing is, I want this to come out of your own imagination. See, that was the point. Is like for you to kind of go through the process of saying, okay, so yeah, I want to draw me. Okay, and maybe I want to draw me when I was 10 years old, and I remember going horseback riding, right? And then you do a drawing of that. You know, you don't have a photograph of it, maybe, you know, I would, you know, or whatever. So it's kind of out of your memory, or it's out of, you know, someplace that you would like to be. See?
Yeah.
And kind of what I was after with this was to get you to actually kind of, you know, in your own head, begin to try to create this image in your mind. Okay.
I understand now.
You know, if I were there, what would that look like? Right? Yeah. And again, you know, it doesn't, you know, nowhere along the line did I say that it had to be absolutely realistic. You know, it could have been whimsical, cartoony, it could have been very stylized, could have been anything, right?
Oh, okay, gotcha.
But the key is, you know, to get you to actually use your imagination, to begin to try to visualize something in your own mind, rather than having to rely on an image that you have readily available, right?
Right.
Because, you know, part of being an artist is, you know, we spend, you know, I don't know about all of you, but, you know, most creative people spend a lot of time in their own head kind of seeing pictures and kind of playing movies in their own heads of things that, you know, they kind of dream about, right? And it's so it's like, you know, a lot of us have that already going on in our head. So it's like, okay, how do you tap into it? How do you use that? You know, that's a natural part of who creative people kind of are, right? So it's like,
Right.
how do I access that? You know, how do I actually use it as a resource? Okay.
All right, got it. I
Okay.
understand now.
Yeah, but now I understand, you know, that you're very interested in this particular place and this guy, and the kind of the whole story behind.
Yeah.
Well, he's not at Tuskegee. Who is he with?
What do you mean? Who's he with?
I mean, you know, well, Byron Stevens. He's you kind of talked about.
He's an attorney for people who are unjustly jailed, imprisoned, and young boys
Now,
are unjustly.
Yeah. Now, where's he at? Is he in like Tuskegee, Alabama, or, you know, does that have anything to do with your visit over there?
Oh yeah, he said the museum is in Alabama, Montgomery, but yeah, he goes all over the place. Yeah,
but
he gives lectures. He goes out and do lectures.
Yeah, but he's from Alabama, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Somehow I thought there was some connection there. Okay. All right. And so, you know, I mean, I understand, you know, you're really interested in this whole social justice sort of thing. And that's, you know, that's great. You know, that's a great resource, you know, and if you can combine your interest with that, with your own imagination and visualization, see, then you can really make some really incredible, powerful pieces. And in fact, I'm going to tell you a little bit of a story. I had a student, and I was doing private classes, and I met her at Benson, but she started taking my evening classes. Whoop, Byron went away. Come back here. And like you know, she was very interested in like making social commentary, you know, or social narratives, right? And she ended up doing some amazing work, you know. You know, she was a very good painter. You know, she could do kind of representational, you know, very realistic things. But she was very, very good at using, it's like her social sensibility and kind of creating images around, you know, around that conversation about what's socially just, what's fair, you know, what's, you know, and she did. She made some amazing pieces of work. And as far as a subject or something like that to work with, that's a great subject to work with. There's a lot to talk about there, you know, and you know, some people would say that, you know, art, you know, really shouldn't be political, but the fact is that for centuries, you know, art's pretty much been political, you know, because it's always been this thing of, you know, artists kind of trying to portray society, you know, and in many cases, the injustices in society, and bring it to the awareness of a larger audience so that people can see it. And then in a way, it's kind of like a softer way of getting them to digest it and kind of accept, oh yeah, okay, yeah, there's some things going on in our society and maybe we need to do something about it, right? So it opens that conversation, So in that way, it can be a very powerful thing, right?
Right.
Both personally, but also, how other people view your artwork, right? And the messages that you send and how you get that message across to them. So, so you're definitely on a good path. Okay, don't, I'm trying to encourage you to, don't change anything there, but think about how to connect, what you're studying, what you're really looking at and beginning to learn and find out. And how do you translate that into your own personal art? See?
All right.
Okay.
Got you. I understand. Yeah.
So anyhow, I'm going to scroll down here a little bit because you have a piece that relates to this. And, I'm assuming that, this has to do with, Byron as well, and all these young men in this detention center. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's not very clear, is it? I didn't focus it.
Well,
Okay.
no, again, yeah.
But it's all right. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we get the idea, and it's reference that you're using. Okay. So, the question would be, okay, so you've got an image and you've got all these figures. And, when you look at them, I mean, clearly, there's a bit of a disparity there, right? If you look at this, there's probably like 3, maybe 4 Caucasian guys there. And the rest of them happen to be, African American.
Right.
And that's, again, that kind of brings us back into that,
Yeah, they're teenagers too. That's why I got interested, because they're teens.
Right. Yeah. And
Young.
it's this whole criminal justice system and sort of the inequalities in it. And, and I mean, it's a huge conversation, that people can have. And, and there are people out there, like Byron, I guess, who are being active and trying to do something about it. Right.
Right.
Yeah. And, you taking the viewpoint, that you want to take and then expressing that. Again, it puts that message out in the world and, again, makes it more accessible to some people, for some people to be able to look at and talk about, in a more reasonable way, and kind of take in a little bit of what's going on. Because there's a lot of stuff out there in the world these days that people are struggling with.
But should I go and try to do if I draw them, should I draw them from this picture or actually go in real life and see the boys and draw them?
You could do either.
Okay.
You could do either. Or you could do, I mean, it would depend. I mean, it would depend on kind of the parameters that you set up to kind of create your own art. Okay. Now, and that's a good question. Okay. You could, okay, as an artist, you could actually go interview, some of these people in a detention center and actually do like a series of portraits or paintings of, some of these, young guys and young women, for that matter of fact,
Yeah.
who get caught up in the criminal justice system very early in their life. Okay.
Okay.
And I mean, that would be an interesting project. It would take a lot of coordination, and there would be a lot of hoops to jump through. I can tell you that right now.
Yeah.
Trying to get into any kind of detention center or whatever, as a member of the public is really difficult. Okay. And they make it that way for, specific reasons. And I know that because I used to teach at the federal prison here in Atlanta, you know, and it's not easy, you know, getting in and out of there, you know. So yeah, but again, you know, as a project, as an artist, yeah. But then again, you could also use, you know, you could use any young people that you know, as models or whatever, without having to go, you know, actually.
Oh, yeah, that's a good idea. Okay.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
probably more convenient, you know, and probably a lot safer as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I was a correction officer for 25 years, and to get clearance to do something like that would be
Oh yeah, that would
probably
be
too difficult to do.
Yeah, last time I did it was a long time ago, and I went through the church to go in. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, a lot of times, you know, when you're associated with like a church group, or like in my case, I was associated with a men's group, and we would go in and we would do, you know, on-site counseling with, you know, incarcerated prisoners in the federal penitentiary system, you know, here in Atlanta. And so I went, you know, I started going down there on a regular basis and taking sketch pads and stuff, and, you know, hanging out with the guys and drawing. And it was good therapy for them. It was also a good way of kind of opening them up and getting them to talk, and, you know, kind of softening some of the edges a little bit.
Right.
You know, and I did that for about 4 years, you know, working with those guys. So, but I do know, you know, getting in and out of there, you know, and getting clearance to do that can be difficult, you know, and you got to be really patient, you know, and persistent at the same time. You know? So,
okay.
But okay, so moving on. Now this, I think this was your. Geez, sitting low. Why?
Yeah, that was my first one. Yeah.
Yeah. So this was your first attempt at. I'm trying to think of her name. That's an actress. We drew her. Anne Hathaway. Anne Hathaway. Yeah. All right. Yeah. So that was your first attempt. Okay. And then, you know, looking at your second attempt. Yeah. You know, much more of a closer feeling to her. Okay. Now the thing is, you know, you kind of stylize, you know, the features of the face in the second drawing more. You know, and that's okay. Again, you know, you can make, you know, choices to do that. But, you know, adding in that little bit of value, you know, in there. And I would kind of encourage you, you know, you probably could have gone a little further and maybe made the hair as a dark shape, you know.
Shade. Shade that hair. Okay.
Yeah, to make it, you know, just kind of a more simplified shape. You know, and that would have given you a little more contrast, a little more impact. You know.
Okay.
So, you know, as you do things like that, you know, kind of think about that. You know, it's like, okay, she's got dark hair. Do I want to make the hair dark, or do I want to keep it lined? And then what happens if I choose to make it a dark shape and simplify it? Okay? And, you know, how does that work with the rest of the drawing? Okay.
Okay.
And in many ways,
how does her hand look? Because I had a time with those hands.
Yeah, well, the hands were difficult, you know, but overall, I mean, you got, you know, the general sense of what the hand was doing. The proportion of the hand seems to be, you know, way small. You know?
Okay.
Yeah, you know, it's like you know, you could have done with a lot less arm and a lot more hand. You know, because her hands were very long. She's got very long fingers, and, you know, she's this very kind of elegant, you know, figure. Okay. But kind of getting back to what I was talking about, you know, right now, see, you've got this very strong dark triangle down here, right? And then the rest of the drawing is kind of faint, right?
Right.
Yeah, what would have happened if, you know, maybe you had that dark shape there, but then you did something very similar with the hair as a dark shape. And then you see you would have had two very strong dark shapes, and then the face would have been more linear. See, and that would have helped balance it out, because right now, this is kind of pulling your eye down to here. See, because there's nothing as strong up here.
Okay.
See?
I'll work on it.
Yeah, little things like that, can make a big difference. We have your guy here, and again, that looks a lot like, who we were drawing. Again, your eyes and things like that, you're kind of stylizing those, and you really kind of need to look at, what does an eye look like from a side view? Is it really kind of an almond shape, or, what happens there? So that I can describe or tell somebody that, I'm looking at the side of the face rather than the front of the face. See?
Okay.
Yeah, because the way you drew it is kind of the way you might draw somebody's eye, really looking at them from the front.
But it would be more to the inner corner of the eye. If you're looking sideways, it would be up further towards the nose.
Not necessarily, but there's a different shape. Instead of an almond shape, it's more of a triangle.
Oh, okay.
See, because you have kind of the rounding, you see the round curved surface of the front of the eye, and then the eyelid kind of comes back to a point, kind of like a triangle, right?
Yeah.
And that tells you that you're really kind of looking more at the side of it.
Okay. I'll work on that too. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just,
Never thought of that.
Yeah, it's like, look for opportunities to try to draw faces and really look and see what those shapes do. See? And, you can always simplify them and abstract them. Okay. But, again, look for ways of describing it that are a little more accurate to what you're actually seeing. So,
Okay. Is his ear big enough this time?
Oh,
I
yeah.
just wanted to be sure that it was big enough.
Yeah, it's big enough and it's far enough back. And on him, it was, He had a lot of space, in between like the eye socket and where the ear began on him, quite a bit. We have your dancer, right? So nice movement in the dress. And you said that you would lengthen that. Okay. But, again, you've got nice movement. And in this case, you've got the leg and the foot aligned, right? So she looks balanced, right? Where your ballet dancer, it's hard to tell because of the way you shot it. It was a little distorted. But it was better than where you had started with the leg way up front. So this one seems to kind of fall, more in line. Okay.
Okay. Good.
We got the Native American guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now this actually kind of, to me, it's a little more like a woman. Okay. But I remember.
I saw him differently each time I looked at him. I saw him differently. Then I watched you on YouTube, and I saw it on YouTube. It looked totally different. So, but this was my first one, I think.
Right. Yeah.
First.
But he had a very striking face. Very, very strong, very striking face.
And it was longer too. I don't know.
It was, yeah. Maybe. Now again, this looks like it was probably laid back and not really square in the camera. So the proportions might be a little different actually in the actual drawing, okay, than what we're seeing here. So just be aware of that as you're photographing your drawings and your paintings. Start to square them up a little bit, okay? Okay. Now, we still have a question of who is this guy?
That is
Joel somebody, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna put him on a T-shirt. I meant to send the drawing.
Yeah, Joel Augustine.
The drawing. Thurman, Howard Thurman. Yes, he's he's an ancestor. and I was going to put him on a T-shirt. He was an attorney, a very historian, you know, archaeologist. He was a really, really smart person.
Okay.
And in history. So, but
So
I forgot to send a picture.
Yeah.
I drew him, but I forgot to send a picture.
Right. Yeah, I got the photograph. I haven't seen the drawing of him yet. So what you're talking about doing is putting the drawing that you're doing on a T-shirt.
Yes, I'm going to draw it.
Okay.
And then I'm going to put it on a T-shirt.
Okay. Yeah. So here's a perfect opportunity. You know, we were just talking about eyes and things like that, and sort of look at the shape of his eyes here, and the fact that, you know, they're not, you know, flat level. You know, there's a very strong angle downward.
Yeah.
On his eye.
Both of them are different.
Yeah, well, a little bit, but
Wow.
also, and it's hard to see in the photo, but you do a little bit. Look at this kind of, there's almost like there's a ball right here.
Right.
See the shadow? And see,
Yeah.
that's what you seem to be missing, like in a lot of the drawings of your other faces, is the underlying structure of the eye, and the fact that the eye is actually a ball, you know, and you don't see the whole ball because it's covered up partially by the skin, but even the skin wraps around that ball thing. And so, you know, as you're trying to draw the eye, as you're trying to draw the mouth, see, they both sit on a spherical shape. You know, see the shape right here, you know, all the way down to right above the chin. See,
Yes.
it's kind of a rounded or oval shape here. And see the mouth, the lips and things wrap around it because your teeth aren't flat. Your teeth are curved, right?
Mm-hmm.
See, and so there's that round shape in there that you have to look for. And see, his lips are not straight across. See, they actually curve as they wrap around that sphere. Yeah. So, you know, that's what I'm trying to get across to you guys is you need to look at those, you know, those underlying forms and shapes when you're drawing faces, you know, and try to make it feel, you know, like things move around the form. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, they're not flat. Okay. Even though you're looking at a flat picture. So, and that's, you know, that's why I kind of recommend trying to draw actually from live people, because you can actually see all that stuff on a live person sitting in front of you. It's hard to see it in a photograph. Okay.
All right. I'll put on my mask and do some live people.
Okay. All right. You can do that. Okay. And then we talked about your landscape, you know, which is lovely. You know, I really like that piece.
I like that this background up here, the blue. I went back and I made it lighter.
Okay. And do you feel like it works better now, or?
Yeah, it did. It works.
Okay.
See, I have it right here. It seemed to work better.
Okay. So
it didn't take my eye away. It didn't draw my eye to it because that's not the main focus.
Right. So I want you to re-photograph it and send it to me with the changes. Okay. So we can look at it. Okay. All right. June Wang, where are you?
I'm here.
Okay. I'm looking for you. Where are you? Are you hiding behind the two girls?
Huh?
Are you hiding behind the drawing of the two girls?
No,
he has flowers, purple flowers.
Oh, the purple flowers. There we go. Okay. Yeah.
I didn't see anything.
Yeah, I can't see your face. Yeah, okay. All right.
Oh yeah, I'm here.
Okay, you're here. Okay, we found you. Okay. So we're gonna start off. Yeah, we're gonna start off with your flowers. Okay. And I'm gonna do something a little bit different this time. Okay. I'm gonna show everybody the things that you sent in, because I want to talk about something, and it applies to all of them. Okay. So, you know, she did these lovely flowers, and these are in colored pencil, you know, and they're very quite, you know, they're really nice. You know, she's got a nice sense of some of them coming forward, some of them sitting behind. Another drawing that she did was this set of stairs. It looks like it's kind of, you know, going up these stairs, and there's some mountains, you know, back there in the background. But look at the perspective, see, and the, you know, if you look at all the perspective lines and where they kind of converge, and where our eye level, which is actually kind of way down here, right, is,
Yeah.
you know, that really kind of makes that perspective, that forced perspective, work pretty well. And it's a really nice kind of dynamic drawing, you know, because it really kind of pulls your eye back, you know, and up these stairs. Then she did something very similar with this scene of, you know, you're on a bridge walking into a European city, and you see the gateway and, you know, the statuary and, you know, the different towers and things like that. And again, you know, the perspective in this kind of makes it feel like we're up above walking kind of downhill, you know, into, you know, this village area, you know, so that's really kind of interesting and very nice. She's got, you know, a picture of her in her scooter, you know, and again, you know, it's kind of a street scene, so she's really kind of, you know, working with the perspective. Now, something kind of wonky about this one, okay? You know, all of the right-hand side, the perspective and everything, and you in relationship to it work pretty well. I'm not so sure what's going on back here, you know, because it kind of feels, you kind of get the feeling that the drawing is kind of, you know, sliding off the page and downhill on this side.
Okay.
A little bit. And that's, again, you know, because of the perspective line. You know, if we follow these lines on this side back, right, our eye level is really kind of right about where you are, right? So that means that the lines on this side, on these buildings, should be just the opposite. They should be lower back here and higher here. So they
Oh,
should,
yeah.
yeah,
I can tell right now.
yeah, right. See,
I
because
have the problem to use this. I try, so this is why I try to draw like this, some 1 point, 2 point, 3 point.
Right, yeah, and you got it on this side, you know, it's just on this side. See, all of these things, see, because these are running parallel to these, they have to go back to the same vanishing point, which is really right here, see? And so everything's got to come off of there, see? And on this side, it does. On this side, it does up to here, and then all of a sudden it goes this totally different direction.
Okay.
Okay, what is it doing?
Yes, I got it. Okay, yeah.
So I have a question, Charles. On the right side here with the people in front of the doors,
yeah,
you're saying that should be up higher, like equal to what's going across the street on the other side of her? Okay.
Right. Yeah, because again, this is kind of like a 1 point perspective, okay? Now, the only instance where this would change, you know, direction radically would be if it came up to this point and there was a corner and then this wasn't running parallel anymore. It went kind of perpendicular the other way, or it went at an angle, then you might see a different angle here. But even if there were a different angle, these people, because we assume that they're not Lilliputians or Munchkins, right? We assume that they're regular sized people, then that means that their eye level would have to be at about the same place, or maybe a little above, because they're standing up and she's sitting down, a little above. So that means that their heads should be somewhere up here. See? And maybe their feet are here, but I mean, their heads would be up here. See? Does that make sense to you?
Yeah.
Wanda, you were asking?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So all I was saying is, you know, and looking at this, if you look at this side of the street, okay, most of this, you know, the palm trees, things like that, all seem to kind of work up until about right there. After that, you know, we get into a different universe. You know, there's a whole different law of physics working there. You know, going on. So
okay, one more thing. I'm sorry.
yeah.
Well, if there were stairs going down toward those people, would that be the right perspective for that?
No, not even if there were stairs down. Now it could be that maybe this building isn't really running parallel to this, in which case, okay, there could be a different angle there, but still, you know, this, you know, any of these lines on the architecture, these are above her eye level, okay? So they have to be running, you know, at an angle like this, okay? They can't come there and then, you know, go steep down.
Okay, yeah, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, now they can below her eye level. See, you know, anything below this point right here, then they have to go downhill. See, all of these do, you know, up into this point, right? But yeah, the problem isn't, you know, down here so much as it is, you know, from her eye level and above. And it's really just this area of the drawing. Because if you take that out, you know, pretty much all the rest of the drawing works okay. You know? So yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. But, you know, the reason that I wanted to show all of these and not talk about them individually at first was because I can see very clearly that what you're trying to do, and we had talked about this, you know, is really begin to kind of grasp, you know, how to work with perspective. And in 3 of these cases, you've done really, really well. In this case, you know, you did really pretty well. You just have a kind of a small little problem area. Uh-oh, your camera went off or something, I don't know. Okay. But, you know, but you're doing, you know, you're doing the right thing. You know, you're working with it, you're trying to work it out. And, you know, you're doing some good stuff. You know, even this, you know, vase of flowers. And you and I have talked about this a couple of times, you know, about, you know, looking at an object, even like in a still life, and trying to figure out the perspective on it. And in this particular case, the thing that you really have to work with is the vase and these ellipses, you know, the ellipses around here. See, and again, you know, because this is open, that tells us that our eye level is above that. See, and our eye level is really up here where the flowers are, right? And everything here is below, okay? And so that works, you know, it works out really well, okay? Now, if our eye level were, say, down here by the water, then it would look different, you know? Then the water would be almost a straight line. And this ellipse here might have a slight ellipse, but we'd actually be seeing this front edge higher than the back edge. See, because it would be above our eye level. And then this one would be kind of the way it is, you know, because it's still below our eye level. So, you know, using things like ellipses and things like that can tell us a lot about where we are in relationship to the object, right? And so even something as minimal and simple as the ellipses on a vase or a coffee cup or something like that can really go a long way in sort of, you know, telling the story, you know. See if I can talk now. Okay. Of our relationship to, you know, where we are in viewing, you know, what it is that you drew. Okay. Where did you put us in the picture? And I don't know whether you guys realize this or not, but anytime that you look at a picture, you're in the picture. See, that artist has put you somewhere. See, they've told you where you are, you know, and where you are in looking at, you know, what they've created. So that's why perspective is kind of important. Okay.
Thank you.
Anyway,
nice
good
flowers,
job.
John.
Yeah,
nice flowers.
Yeah, you're beginning to kind of work that out and get a good handle on that perspective thing.
Send those flowers to me.
he needs flowers. You know, he needs to flatter one of his neighbor ladies to come over and pose for him. So, you know, we know what they'll be used for. Yeah. Is Naomi here? Anywhere? No. Naomi, are you here? Somebody was. Who is? It could be Wanda. Wanda, do you have the picture of the two little? It looks like two faces. The two girls' faces.
Yes, that's me.
Okay, that's you.
That's me.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I see you now.
I don't see Naomi.
Yeah, I don't see Naomi either. Okay. Yeah. Anyway, she sent this in. You know, she's getting better. You know, I mean, you know, she really is. She's getting better at getting more shape and form. You know, in her figures and her faces and stuff. So, you know, and she's still doing that kind of broken up color thing, which is fine. But it's beginning to work better for her. So, you know, I wish she were here. We could talk about it. Rebecca is here. Okay.
Yeah, I'm here.
Yep. And so this is your grandfather and you, and you're out rounding up flounder, according to the title of this. Is it flounder or stingrays?
Well, it's floundering, but it turned out to be a stingray instead.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah, you said that he had a thing for stingrays. He didn't like them because they will sting you.
Right.
I was going to ask, what do you do with them?
I learned from Armando that they're actually edible. I know flounder is very edible. We had some for dinner last night, but I never heard that you could eat stingray.
Oh, stingrays are delicious. So are sharks. Yeah.
To each their own.
I've had shark, but I haven't had stingray.
No, you can. No, those. You know.
If you don't have anything else to eat, you will eat it.
Yeah. Well, and it's not even a matter of you will eat it. You'll actually enjoy eating it. You know, because the texture of stingray, it's not as flaky as like a flounder. You know, it's a little. It doesn't taste like lobster, but it's a little more of that consistency.
Huh.
You know.
That's very interesting.
How do you eat it? Fried, baked?
I've, you know, anytime that I've cooked them or eaten them, you know, and you basically what you eat is you eat the wing. You know, this part out here is the part that's really edible. And you basically, you know, leave the skin on it, and then you can bake it, and you can season it with, you know, just salt and butter and paprika, and it's really delicious.
Just like fish. Okay.
Yeah, you cook it in the broiler, you know, just a couple of minutes.
Do you skin it like a catfish?
No, you don't skin it. You leave the skin on it while you put it in the broiler. And then after you put it in the broiler, then the skin just peels right off very easily, you know, and you got the muscle, the flesh to eat. So, no, it's really very good. You know, same thing with shark. You know, it's very good. So, yeah, you'd be surprised out there. You know, I mean, there's, you know, most things, if you know how to cook them, can be really delicious.
Yeah, anything out of the ocean.
Yeah, you know, I've well, I don't know that we should even go there. Anyway, yeah, my philosophy is, you know, I'll eat anything that doesn't eat me first, and so far I've won. So, you know, so anyway, so here's your other drawing. Okay, now this was your original drawing, you know, and this was your granddad.
This one really look really like grandfather. The other one, no, look like a young grandfather. So this one, yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the other one was different because I thought that the boat detracted from the story, and it was difficult to draw the arm of him spearing something out of a boat was very awkward. And so I changed it all around and made him younger and made me in the picture with him because floundering at night was a big deal in my youth.
Yeah. Okay. And you were definitely like maybe down in Florida or somewhere with tropical trees, right?
Correct.
You know, and pines, like, you know, what are they? Those are long needle pines in Florida?
Longleaf pines, yeah.
Longleaf pines, yeah.
Yeah.
Pine stands
They're ugly. The pine from Florida, they're ugly.
Speak for yourself. I mean, yeah.
I lived in Florida before, in Miami.
Okay.
I also changed it to an evening scene because
At night.
yeah, I didn't want to have to worry about shadows.
Yeah. Well, and you know, you kind of told the time of day because, you know, she's got a flashlight, and so you're kind of assuming that it's dark out, even though your value overall back here isn't really all that dark.
Right. I need to darken that up.
Well, you could, but you know, I mean, you don't really have to. You know, the fact is, you know, the way that you treated your final drawing was more the way you sort of treat your illustrations for your books, and they're kind of stylized and simplified, right? And that's fine, okay? Because at the end of the day, is, you know, you're telling the story, you know, you're just trying to get the idea across of what's going on. So, you know, have you done that? Yeah. Okay. Now, could you improve this? Oh, yeah. Yeah. There's plenty of different ways of improving it, right? Like, for example, okay, and I'm not telling you to do anything more to this, okay? But I'm just going to say, you know, throw out a couple of suggestions there. Like, for example, one of the things that kind of make this feel a little bit static, and you kind of lose the sense of, you know, dynamic movement and the sense of kind of like there's something exciting going on, is the fact that when you put in these shorelines, you've got these parallel lines and they're running just horizontally across the page, right? Rebecca?
Yes, I'm hearing. I'm listening.
So, you know, what you could have done is rather than just a straight line, you know, this maybe could have curved, right? And it could have, you know, different angles, things like that would have kind of been more in keeping with the sort of the action and the dynamic feel for what you're trying to get. Because, you know, you weren't just casually walking around spearing, you know, stingrays. You know, you were out there tromping around in the water, you were looking for these things. It was probably, you know, it was probably kind of fun, but it was also maybe a little scary, you know? And so, again, you know, you could have added a little more drama, you know, into the drawing by just, you know, simple devices in composition that could have said, you know, a little, you know, added a little more of that drama in there. The other thing is, you know, sort of the pose of the figures, right? You know, you're both, you know, we're assuming that, you know, you're standing in water, right?
Right.
Okay. But you're not just standing, you know, you probably were walking out there. So you could have, rather than having the legs straight up and down, you know, maybe you could have showed that they were moving forward, you know, to try to, you know, reach over there and, you know, spear that stingray, right? While, you know, and would you have the flashlight down here by your leg? No, you would probably have your arm out, right, in front.
Okay.
So again, you know, you could have added a little more action to the figure, right?
Okay.
You know, and the fact is, you know, because your legs are down in the water, you're probably not going to see your feet.
Okay.
So you probably could have ended, you know, you know, and not drawn your feet and stuff in there, and it would have carried that idea that you're standing in water, right?
Okay.
Because the water would sort of cover up the lower part of your legs and your shoes, right?
Right.
So there's little things in there that you could do a little bit differently, and, you know, and convey those ideas, and at the same time, you know, create a more dynamic composition you know, and add a little more, you know, action, you know, to the drawing itself. So,
Okay.
so just something to think about.
That's great. Great suggestions. Thank you.
Okay. Is Richard here?
Yeah.
Yay, Richard. There you go. Okay, now we see you. Okay. So Richard is doing his piece on going to school in Woodstock in 1931. And look at that handsome rascal down there at the bottom. See?
Yeah,
So,
rain a lot sometimes.
yeah. So Richard, you know, you haven't changed a lot. You know,
I'm a lot older.
Well, yeah, but still, I can look at your face when you were younger, and I look at you, and you really haven't changed much. I could recognize you from your photo. It looks like you. So, yeah, it's not a bad thing. So now, right now, you have these different elements, and they're pasted up kind of on this board. And I guess my question is,
what do we do now?
Yeah, what are you going to do next? Where are you going to go with this?
I don't know.
You don't know. Okay. Can I make a suggestion? Now I know you draw a little bit, okay, but I know that you're not as comfortable drawing. You know, and I know that you like to paint, but I would kind of encourage you to try to draw, okay? But as you draw these onto a piece of paper or something, and these are all really good elements, okay? The calendar, you know, with the truck, the schoolhouse, you know, you know, the clock even, you know, and even, you know, like the ABCs and stuff like that, you know, the alphabet, you know, they're all really good, interesting elements to use, right? But right now, it's kind of like, you know, it's kind of like a pinup board, you know. You know, you're just putting ideas up there, right? And where you need to go with this is you need to begin to figure out a composition, you know, an image, right? And the image doesn't, you know, you don't have to necessarily make all of these work like in reality, like, you know, the clock has got to be in proportion to the building, you know, it doesn't. And, you know, what I would suggest to you is like this piece that Bob did. See, this is called a composite, okay? It's where you take all these different elements and you arrange them in the page, and you can make some of them bigger and or smaller, depending on how important they are, right? So like in this case, you know, he wanted to make Benjamin Franklin, you know, that's who he's talking about here. You know, he wanted to make him the more dominant image. And then the, you know, I think this is in Philadelphia. This is where the first Congress was held, or, you know, where they signed the Declaration, of course, the Liberty Bell, and then, you know, Franklin's paper that he published, right? So in your case, let's go back down here and look at your piece. Whoop. Yeah, there it is, okay. You know, you've got all these elements, right? So, you know, if you're really kind of talking about going to school in 1931, you know, in Woodstock, you know, you could incorporate elements like text and type in it. But probably, you know, it's like the dominant image might be the schoolhouse. So the schoolhouse might be bigger than everything else. And then you would have maybe the words, you know, Woodstock School 1931 somewhere in here. It doesn't have to be right below the school. It could just be almost anywhere. And it could be separate, or it could run into or over or behind the school. You know, the calendar, you know, the calendar could be an element in there. Maybe the next biggest and most important thing is really you, right? So maybe, you know, maybe the picture of you is, you know, maybe your head's here and, you know, your shoulders are down here, and then the school is, you know, pretty big and it's back behind you. And then, you know, maybe you can show the clock in the background and it's barely kind of ghosted back there. And this calendar is kind of here, maybe at an angle or something like that. See, again, you can play with these things and overlap them, kind of put them together, you know, like a puzzle, and make it a kind of an interesting composition, right? And just do it as a drawing, okay? And it doesn't even have to be like a really finished tight drawing. It's just, you know, again, you're playing with sort of the design and sort of telling a story, you know, because that's really what you're doing here. You're trying to tell a story about, you know, something that happened in your life, right?
Mm-hmm.
Does that make any sense to you?
Perhaps it's going to be hard to tie them in.
It's hard what?
Hard to tie them all together.
You know, it takes, what I would suggest, you know, I've talked about doing thumbnails, right? Like little tiny drawings, right? Just to work out where you would put stuff, right? And I would kind of suggest start there. You know, you've got all the right elements, you know, but just start there and just, you know, do like little sketches of like, okay, my schoolhouse would be this big. The clock would be over here, you know, I would be here and I'd be either in front of the school or, you know, behind the school or, you know, and the calendar would kind of be over here and it would kind of either overlap part of the school or go behind it or whatever. You know, and just begin to kind of put things on the page and, you know, don't, you know, just think about, you know, simple shapes right now, you know, for the clock and the school and stuff like, you know, you don't have to add a lot of detail to them, but just kind of work out how you would arrange them on the page and the size relationships. See, it's, you know, and again, you know, you'd have to kind of sit down and think to yourself, what do I want to make most important? You know, is the school the most important image there, or is it me? Is it the clock? Is it the truck? You know, or the calendar? You know, which one is the key part to telling the story that I want to tell, right? And that's the one that you make biggest, and then you make the other one, the next thing in importance, you know, a little bit smaller, and then a little bit smaller on the next one, until, again, you know, you have, you know, kind of a composition that works together. See? Okay? So, you know, I'm not so worried about you doing a finished drawing of this, but what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to sit down and do 4 or 5 little thumbnails and just try to figure out, you know, if you were to try to draw or paint that, you know, how you would put it together, okay? You think you could do that?
I don't know.
Well, come on, you know, I'll try to help you.
You're helping me fine.
Okay.
May I ask a question?
Sure.
Yes.
The clock on the wall, was that like the clock that was in the classroom?
I looked at a clock catalog and that was listed as being a school clock.
Okay.
Oh, that's interesting. I wondered about it. Thank you.
Yeah, it's got a beautiful
clock's in my living room.
Okay.
I'm staring at it while I'm staring at his picture.
Yeah.
But,
yeah.
I have one almost just like it.
Okay. Well, that clock looks like it probably came out of the 20s and the 30s, you know, and it's, you know, it's kind of almost, it's not an arts and crafts style clock, but it's not too far away from it. You know, because I've got actually an arts and crafts wall clock that isn't a lot different than that. And I've got a couple of mantle clocks, you know, that are very similar to it as well. So
that particular clock runs for 31 days and it's got an alarm on it. You see, it's got 2 holes right there. One's for the alarm and one's for time.
Right, yeah.
And so it's a hand wound clock?
Yeah, you have a key with it, right?
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, that's how those little clocks used to work. You have to wind them up. You know?
Yeah, I got one.
Yeah, keep them going. Okay. Anyway, Richard, anyway, I want you to try it, okay? And, and if you run into problems or whatever, just send me an email and we'll talk more about it. And, we'll kind of work back and forth, try to work it out, okay?
Well, appreciate your comments. I was kind of stuck.
Okay. But yeah, I mean, you're on the right track. You've got all the right elements and stuff to tell the story. It's just now you have to begin to kind of fit the puzzle together, right? And there's lots of different ways you can do it. Yeah. So it'll be kind of a fun little exercise, and you'll learn a little bit about how to design things, by doing it. Okay.
Mm-hmm. I'll try.
Okay. All right. Hey, that's all we can ask for, right? All right. And then we have Susan, and we have Little Joe Cartwright on the Ponderosa. And actually, I want to start with the first one. This is what she had actually done on Friday in the drawing class. And this is out of her imagination. So you can see Little Joe, and, he's kind of like, hey, I'm out here at the Ponderosa. I'm hanging out by the big Ponderosa pine. I got the mountains in the background, the air is really good. I got my, I got my gun belt on and my pistol. And, we're having a good old time out here. But I'm looking for my hat, right?
I put on the hat as the finished product.
I know, yeah. And then she did. And now you see, it looks a lot more like Little Joe, doesn't it?
Yeah, the eyes and the nose.
I gave him his pinto, his horse.
Right.
Yeah, that looks like
It does look like him.
the
Right.
hair.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
Yep, the hair, yep, the horse.
does.
Yeah, she's
And I put on some boots. Yeah.
right. Even the cowboy boots, see?
Yeah.
And it looks a lot more like Little Joe, right? So yeah. So again, it's like, okay, so you've got the original idea here, and then you take it, and you begin to play with it, and you see, you can go a long way, right out of your imagination, and kind of create something, that's really a lot of fun, and again, kind of moves you a little bit closer to what you kind of had in your mind, in your head. Okay.
Okay.
So, there's a couple of things I really like about what's going on here. And then I have a few comments about maybe things that you could do to make it more interesting, right? And,
Okay.
one of the things we were talking about with Rebecca, she had her two figures there and they were a little bit stiff, right? Your figure is not so stiff, you've got kind of a gesture, now the proportions and things,
And I'm trying to get him to look like he was walking. It's not showing the bottom of his feet, but they're kind of, one of them looks like he's getting ready to move. Yeah, okay. But right. I'm trying to make it look like he's starting to move.
Right, yeah. Yeah, and so,
And the horse is kind of looking like it's kind of ready to bounce around in place too.
But he's gesturing, he's got some kind of movement to him. He's not just standing there stiff, right? And that's
right.
Good. Okay. So he looks alive. You're implying some kind of motion there.
I'm sick.
Same thing with his horse. His horse isn't just kind of standing there with the legs straight out, like a board. It looks like his horse is kind of moving around a little bit, right? And so again, there's a little bit of motion in there. Something dynamic going on, some kind of movement, and that's good. That all adds to kind of the feeling of the drawing.
I don't know.
Yeah. Now, the thing I would kind of suggest to you is, in the size relationship of things, Little Joe is obviously a lot closer to us.
I don't know what's going on,
right?
to tell you the truth.
Because we can look at the scale of the horse.
I can't hear you. I'm hearing Richard.
Yeah, I know. I just needed it. But in looking at the scale of the horse to Little Joe, okay, Little Joe feels closer to us, right? Because
Right.
we kind of know the relationship of how big horses are, how big people are, right? And so, and again,
And I thought about all that.
right, yeah, and you got that right. So you see, you know, the feet of the horse end up much higher in the picture plane. Little Joe's feet are down here, so that again, that's another thing reinforcing that idea that he's standing closer to us, the horse is further away. Now the same thing is kind of true with right? So again, you know, you're putting elements in there, and you're beginning to kind of create this illusion of depth and space, you know, by the way that you're placing them and arranging them on the page. Okay, so that's all working really well. Okay.
Thank you. Thanks.
So there's a lot of good things, you know, going on in here, and you know, again, you know, that's worth pursuing because you know you can take this, and if you wanted to go further with it, you know, again, you can keep working with the composition, you know, and keep the things that you have, you know, but maybe make it a little more dynamic, right? So like, for example, you know, the thing I might ask you is, all right, little Joe's closer to us. You got a weird thing going on here between his elbow and then the back end of the horse and his tail, right? And you see, you kind of have a little channel moving through there, right? Okay.
Right.
So what would have happened if maybe the back end of the horse didn't end here? Maybe the back end of the horse came back behind his elbow.
Yeah, and I thought about that, but I wanted to get the colors of the horse in. So I wanted to show that it was a pinto, which is what he, so I was just trying to get it.
Okay. But his elbow wouldn't have covered up the whole back end of the horse. You know, see, if it had come back here, you know, and then you would still see the legs and the tail back over here. But by overlapping it just a little bit there, you see, you would have kind of taken the tension out of the composition because your eye kind of wants to go right here because of that channel, right? And so by overlapping it, you would have said, okay, definitely little Joe is in front of the horse. See? You know, and it would have given your eye kind of a way of going from little Joe to the horse to the tree, you know, kind of moving on back. And you wouldn't kind of get stuck right here in that little, it's almost a tangent, see? And so it's something that draws your eye and kind of, you kind of, your eye picks it up, your brain doesn't necessarily, but it's like something's going on there. What do I want to keep going back to his elbow, right? And so, you know,
I could add a little bit to the horse. I mean, I guess.
Right. Just bring the horses back just a little bit further back, see? And then you would solve that problem. It'd be gone, right? You'd have an overlapping shape there, you know, pushing one thing forward and one thing back, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And then the other thing is, you got your mountains and things back there. They're very faint.
They didn't come out very well in the picture, did they? They're there. They are there on my.
Yeah,
on my
I can
picture,
see them, and I can see where you're trying to put in some sky and stuff in there. I guess what I would say is, you know.
I mean, I can put this up and just kind of show you that they are there, but.
Yeah, they actually show it better in the photo that you sent than what I'm seeing. I'm just seeing you in a little tiny square.
I can make that. I'll make it a little darker.
Yeah,
hopefully.
I mean, yeah, you could just push the contrast a little bit in there to make them show up a little bit better, and you know, I think you'd be fine, right?
Okay.
So.
Okay.
But overall, you know, I mean, you got the idea of the assignment. You know, you got the idea of the assignment. You took it. You went a little bit further with it, and you know, a few little tweaks and things, and you've got a nice composition. And you know, again, you're kind of telling that story, you know, that you kind of envision in your mind.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm still a big bonanza freak. I've always been. So, kind of, yeah.
Okay.
But,
and that's, you know, and that's fine. You know, I mean, again, that's the kind of beautiful thing about, you know, doing imaginative drawings and art. You can talk about anything. You know, it's all fair game. You know, whether it's TV shows you like, games you like to play, places you like to go on vacation, whatever it is, you can play with those ideas. See?
Right.
And,
Yeah.
And it gives you a kind of a chance to like create your own world. See? See, and one of the reasons that I'm pushing you guys to try to use your imagination to do this stuff is it's very easy to get stuck kind of in the mode of, well, I have to have something to look at to draw it, right?
Yeah.
And so a lot of artists get kind of in this mode of, they may want to do something, but they never get around to doing it because they never get or see an image of it the way they, could imagine it, right? And they won't take the risk to use their imagination to kind of create the image, see? And so I'm trying to break that mold with you guys and get you to both use your imagination and still yet, be able to go and look at something and understand what you're seeing and be able to draw what you see. See? So it's, you got to build up both skill sets. And by having both skill sets, they can feed off of each other. You can create things that you would have never imagined before. See? Or seen yourself doing. So, at any rate.
Can I just add one thing? This assignment really scared me. And when you first started talking about it, it was kind of like, because I really didn't think I had an imagination to come up with anything. I mean, I always feel like I can copy things, but I can't really think up in my head what to put on paper. But you kind of spurred me on to do something like this. So
Good.
It was
good. And I'm glad it scared you because sometimes we got to get a little scared, to kind of get out of our box, Yeah. And I'm sure you're not the only person that got scared by that. In this group. Yeah. Truth be told. Truth be told.
I'm like her. I felt like I didn't have any imagination. I felt like, what imagination? I don't have that.
Yeah. But yeah, it's like I'm sure that a lot of people are there with you, and it's like, oh my God, what is he having us do?
You are not alone. That's for
right.
Sure.
Yeah. So yeah, you're in simpatico with probably at least half of the people on this Zoom meeting. So, but that's good because that was the intent, was kind of shake you up a little bit, and that's what you're taking a class for, is because again, it's supposed to challenge you. It's supposed to take you to those places that are uncomfortable that you wouldn't necessarily want to go on your own, right?
Right.
That's my job. That's what they pay me for. Okay. And look what you got. See, see.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and I mean, the thing is, you could keep going with this and make more and more out of it, and really come up with, a really nice piece of artwork around something that, you feel connected to, right? Mm-hmm. And
right.
And see, the thing is, it becomes even more personal, because again, it's something out of your own imagination. Okay?
Yeah. And
so it really does, it makes it yours. Okay?
Okay.
And that's what we're all about here, making it yours. Okay? Don't do what I do what you do. Right? All right. So moving on, and last, but certainly not least, we're talking to Miss Wanda.
Hey.
You there, Wanda?
Yes, I am.
There we go. Look at that bright, sunshiny face there. Okay. So who is this lady?
Someone in my imagination.
Okay.
I was trying to learn how to, I did a T in the middle of the paper and made a face.
Okay.
Trying to make the eyes right and the nose and the mouth. And
okay. So you started off with the T to try to get the alignment, right? The center line of the face. And okay.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Well, she's got a very sweet face, very interesting, and soft look to her. She looks like a nice person you'd like to meet.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. So, yeah, and this is in colored pencil, right?
Yes, matter of fact, these colored pencils belong to my granddaughter.
Okay.
She's got some colored pencils from a Crayola called Colors of the World.
Okay.
And it's all different type of flesh tones in this packet. And I said, well, let me give that a try and see how things turn out.
Yeah.
And
So now grandmom's gonna steal your granddaughter's portrait.
Yeah.
You're gonna be fighting over who gets to use the colored pencils.
Right.
Yeah. Well, I got a hint for you. You might just want to go out and get your own.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, they worked really nicely. You got good color saturation on there. You know, the way that you laid down the color and kind of working in the different directions on the form of the face to help kind of describe the form and moving around the shapes and the forms in the face were done really pretty nicely. And all of that works, really well. So, and I know that you have an interest in like drawing people and people's faces and things like that. And I'm trying to think back. I don't think that this is the only time that I've seen you draw somebody's face. I'm sure you sent in some other things.
Yeah, I have.
Yeah, but this one is really kind of nice in the sense that, as far as I can remember, okay, this one feels like it's got more structure. More like the eyes and the features and things are sitting on a shape or a form. Okay, so it feels a little more solid, and not quite so flat, like the features were just kind of put on a flat surface. So the direction that you're heading in is good, and it's beginning to kind of feel like she's got some volume, and she's kind of round. A lot of times, a lot of people, when they start thinking about artist models, right? They think of, like really young, really pretty, kind of women, or men, right? And the fact is, reality, a lot of artists really like to work with women, who have a lot of character, who are a little bit softer, a little bit rounder. If you think about, during the Renaissance and all the way through, really up until about 1900, most artist models and things that you saw, were more like this lady. They were a little bit softer, a little bit rounder. They had a little bit of weight on them, so that the forms were a little round and they had some volume. And, and most classical artists like to work with that because, that's what it was for them. That's what it was all about, about kind of creating, this sense of form and volume, in the figure. And, and you're on track with that. You got that going on, with her. And, yeah. So good job. Really nice piece. And then you have this piece that you sent in. And I've seen you do things like this before. Now, this is more of you're using yarn. And
I wanted to show this that from the kaleidoscope that I did. This is one of the first ones I did. This is about 14 years old.
Okay.
And this is with the yarn on the canvas.
Okay. Now, let me ask you this. Yeah, now this is like a lace, like a string of lace that you put along the
Yes,
board.
it is.
Okay. And then as far as the skin tones and things like that, are those painted on or are those yarn?
I painted those on because it was sort of difficult trying to get the very thin thread to make that. So I decided to paint it.
Yeah, okay. So you got, and is that actually on the canvas surface itself?
Yes, it's on the canvas, yes.
Okay.
That's with a water pen.
Okay, all right. So you painted that in, and then you basically kind of filled in where the figure is, the book, and everything else with the yarn. Now, the book, is this, it looks like you've collaged paper on top of it? Is that?
I drew like a page I drew the book, and then I put the gold thread to make the edges, the pages of the book.
Yeah, but how about the actual page surface itself? Is that?
That was, no, that's just how I drew it to make it look like it's a page, like it's the top of the book.
Okay. So what we're actually.
Fabric on there. There's no fabric on there.
Okay. Oh, okay. But this is a separate piece of fabric, other than the canvas, right?
That's on top of the book.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah, because it looks separate. It doesn't look like the canvas, and it looks like something that was layered on top of it.
I thought the gold thread was making it look like it was three-dimensional. Like that she making the pages out of. I thought that was what making it like it was three-dimensional.
Right. Yeah, it does. Yeah. So yeah, you see the side.
I was trying to get that. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and you did a nice job. And then you got
the top of the book is just white canvas, isn't it?
No, that's like a thin, very thin piece of white cloth.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
See, otherwise, I mean, if you look at it real carefully, you can begin to see it's not really perfectly flat. You know, it's got a little bit of shape or form to it.
Yeah, I see that. Yeah.
And so it actually adds to that because you've got another layer. It actually stands off of the canvas and makes it look more three-dimensional. See, if she would have just left the canvas there, I don't think it would have come off quite the same way.
Right.
Yeah. And then, you see, the stitching work that you got. Now, I guess this is yarn too, the purple?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. You do that really well. I mean, you keep everything kind of in line, very nice straight lines. Yeah. That would
I try to use different materials also, like the trimming on the chair. That's the type of what do you call it? Like the stuff you wrap packages with.
The yarn?
Yeah, no, it's what is it called? It starts with an S.
That real strong thread, yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's a string. Yeah.
It's like a burlap in a way.
Right. Yeah.
I can't remember the name of it. What did you say?
It's like twine.
Yeah, twine.
Yeah, it's a different twine though, because twine is a little more loose. This is a little more stronger.
Mm-hmm.
The twine wouldn't stay in place as much as this did.
Yeah. Yeah. This almost looks like that.
Sissel.
Oh,
I think it's called sissel.
Sissel. Okay. Yeah.
I've heard of that.
Yeah. I in looking at it, I was kind of thinking it was maybe like a hemp twine because it kind of has that color and that character to it.
But that hemp and that sissel, they're sort of like the same color, but one is much stronger, harder, lack of a better word.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. It's a beautiful piece, and then your
thank you.
Your message is there that you incorporate in a lot of your work. I mean, it's got a really nice feel, and I like the fact that you frame the piece, but then you also sort of brought a lot of the elements that you had and the materials in the piece itself, to decorate the edge of the frame as well. So it's kind of this inside-outside thing going on, which is really nice.
Thank you.
You handled that well. Then we're going to talk about.
And it looks like that frame is inside the frame. You look on the left side. That is.
You mean the string on? Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. She brought some of the string.
No, I mean above that.
Oh, the thing above it.
Yeah.
There's something up there. It's below another picture.
Yeah, another picture. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And there's one below it too.
Yeah. That gold frame at the bottom, you can pick it up and lift it up and put it back down. That's how the frame is. It's not from on the back, it's from the front. You know what I mean? It lifts up. That gold frame lifts up.
Oh, you mean like a shadow
like
box?
Like a shadow box, yeah, but it lifts up it lifts up like a shadow box. That's what that is.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. So we got your figure.
Oh yes.
Your Alvin Eloise dancer. And and proportions, movement, everything else. Yeah, much better. Now, what?
I went around the edging like you told me to
Mhm.
give it some substance to it.
Yeah, add a little bit of weight, you know, and
Yeah,
separate it from the
yeah.
background. Yeah, yeah, and
But what I didn't do, I didn't put the foot up under the head. I forgot to do that.
yeah, that. But still, I mean, you know, overall it still worked. Now, one thing I guess you saw that I didn't see in the in the photo that you sent of the clipping was, I guess, see, I saw his arm as continuing on out here, right?
Oh, okay.
You saw it bent with his hand here. See?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. And I mean, that's fine. It works, you know, and, you know, I didn't see that detail, you know, in the
Oh,
reference.
okay.
Yeah. So I thought the arm just kept going on out and they just kind of cropped it off. But no, but that makes sense.
No, it been inward. Yeah, it been inward.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. But now you feel like he's moving more?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. See? And so again, you know, it's just a matter, you got to push those angles, you know, and again, you know, it's like whatever you see, whatever you think you see, make it a little more extreme. You know, just push it out there just a little bit. See? That's all you really need to do.
Yes.
Yeah. Then we're gonna take a look at your barn. Now this is this is what you sit in.
Yes.
Which is beautiful. You know, I mean, it's a great old barn and stuff. Okay. But then you took it and you did a painting or a drawing, I guess. And is this color pencil?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. I like the way you cropped this much better, you know, than the original. I like the way you cropped on it, because it made a lot more interesting composition than the photograph.
Oh,
You know, the photograph was very horizontal, but you know, by cropping it the way you did, it really pushed this barn up to the foreground. So, you know, we're really right there looking at the barn. And then everything else, you know, kind of pushed, you know, back off into the background. And so again, you know, kind of the way it all fits together is really, you know, pretty well done, you know, really nice.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah. And so if you had kept it, you know, kind of long and horizontal, you know, it wouldn't have been nearly as interesting, you know, as what you got here. So yeah.
May I see the original again?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So this was the original, and so you see,
I see what you mean. Yeah.
Yeah, it's there, but it's kind of, you know, it's kind of just sitting out there in the middle of nowhere, right? But then let's play with this. Let's enlarge it. See, we enlarge it and see, crop it. And now all of a sudden, because this goes off the side of the page, you see how it really pulled that barn forward? See? Where before it felt much further away from us, you know, and it was just kind of floating there. It just, you know, it's like, okay, yeah, the barn's there. But now, just because it's breaking that edge, it's really made it a lot more interesting. So.
Yeah. So you don't think I made the mountains bigger than what they should have been?
No, they're mountains. They can be big. In fact, you could have made them bigger, you know?
Oh, okay.
Now, one thing I will say, and I know that you're working with colored pencils and things like that, but, you know, the color that you used in the mountain, it's a little bit strong, you know, as far as intensity. And if you could have maybe lightened it and grayed it down, the mountains would have felt further away than they feel in your drawing. But they still, you know, again, it still doesn't bother you. It doesn't bother me, because when I look at it, the barn still moves forward. You know, the trees are in kind of the mid-ground, you know, and then you see the, you know, the mountains, and, you know, we know they're further back there. So, yeah, it still works. You know, as far as the overall composition of it. Okay.
All right. Okay.
And then we have this lovely piece. Okay. Now it's interesting because June did this Vase of Flowers, and then Wanda does this Vase of Flowers. But rather than trying to draw the flowers, you know, you've simplified and abstracted them. And there are these really kind of fun shapes. And the thing is, they're not static. They feel like they're kind of bouncing around and kind of moving, to me, which is really great. Now, is this marker?
No, these are color brushes.
Oh, okay.
I got some, and I said, let me try it out and see how they look. So I just started making circles and adding the flower, adding the colors and different things, and just liking the way it came out.
Yeah. I like it.
And you said the thing you painted with was what?
Color brushes. They're watercolor brushes. They got the color already in them.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. But the tips are like brushes.
Kind of like a brush pen. It's like a pen, got a brush, kind of a felt brush type tip. Yeah, and those are
thin,
those are really, really fun to color with.
Pretty. Yeah, they are. They are.
Yeah, and the nice thing about using those, and where I would kind of have you kind of go with this is since you're interested in doing faces and stuff like that, take one of them that's kind of neutral, not too dark, It could be really any color. And then try to draw a face, and then try to use that brush tip to make some variation, thicker and thinner lines by the amount of pressure and the angle that you use it at. And you'll find that it's a really effective tool, drawing tool, because you can make some really expressive lines with it. It's a great, great thing to play with.
I'll give it a try. I sure will.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes.
But yeah, don't just try to color with them. Try to actually draw with them.
Okay.
And again, think about what kind of line do I need to make? Does it need to be very thin? Does it need to be thick? Do I want to make a bold line? Do I want to make something that's very kind of fluid, smooth, or something that's kind of jaggy or has a lot of texture or action to it? Okay. And just, play with it. And I think you'll find that it'll make some really amazing drawings. And then of course, you can also make drawings doing that same thing, but use various colors for different parts. You don't have to use just one color.
Okay. Sounds good. Thank you.
Okay. So now that's everybody's work. We are over time. And
we are. Oh my God.
Oh, one thing.
Yeah.
I know it's too late now. I sent it again. I don't know if you got it or not.
I'll check, but we'll look at it on Thursday, okay?
Yeah, it can be next week, next month. That's fine.
Well, we'll do it on Thursday. Okay, we'll
bye, everybody.
Next week on Thursday.
I gotta go too.
Okay, bye.
All right, everybody. And I'll say all the stuff I did for Thursday. And we'll look at it then, okay? All right, anyway, thank you all for coming.
Charles?
Yes?
Bye.
Tomorrow I will not be attending the class.
Okay.
Because I have some dental surgery.
Okay, it's not anything I said to you. That's good. Okay.
No.
All right, but you
are very, very kind to me. You let me nap and everything. It's like
okay.
It's very good.
All right. So anyway, we'll see everybody, I guess, tomorrow. Okay, tomorrow being Wednesday. I'm gonna basically, I've got a couple of videos for you guys to watch. Scott Waddell, I found a couple of the videos that a couple of years ago, I actually bought a couple of his videos because I was interested in his process and technique. And so we're going to watch one of those, and then I'm going to also introduce you to another artist that's got a really, really fascinating, interesting style. So I think you'll kind of enjoy that. Anyway, so we'll see everybody tomorrow at 10 a.m. in the morning, right?
Right.
Okay, so make sure to have your coffee in hand. Be awake, okay? And
take care.
Anyway, thank you all for coming, okay?
Yeah,
Okay.
thank you.
Bye. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
And away we go. Bye, Jean.
Bye.